How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SNDL Sundial growers. And before I get started, I just want to clarify something here. I read the comments and some people are saying, hey, why is this guy telling people to take profits so early? Like, who wants to make money off of a 10-cent move, 8-cent move, and so forth? What we need to understand here, when I started doing these videos, a lot of people telling me they were down inside of the stock and they wanted to start seeing profits. So that's part of the reasons why I ended up sharing this strategy. We've seen it pulled back to 68 cents, 69 cents. We've seen it recently go to 80 cents. So I've had people that were able to actually make 10 cents a share, depending on how much they invested, and they're actually happy about this. Again, these are momentum type of traders and swing traders and so on. So if you're in SNDL for the long term, then of course you're going to have a different strategy. And I'm not trying to put the stock down. I'm just trying to show people who trade on a consistent basis how to make money off of this play. So now that we got that out of the way, let's jump into the agenda. So the first thing that we have to go over is the technical analysis. We want to take a look at the overall price action. We want to know support, and we also want to know resistance and potential moves that we want to look forward to from SNDL by taking a look at our moving averages. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information and as well as the recent institutional ownership. We want to see, are there any recent filings of institutions loading up on shares, and are shorts still heavily vested inside of this play? And then afterwards, we're going to check out the order flow distribution. Were institutions loading up on shares on Friday? We're going to find that out as well because it can have an impact on the stock. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more key details. So let's get to it. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for SNDL Sundial growers. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at 77 cents, being up 2.97%. On the low, it tested 77 cents, and then on the high, testing 80 cents. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 43.894 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days being at 81.988 million shares. Of course, this is no surprise going into the long weekend, but it is something to keep an eye on going into the new week starting Tuesday. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a 1-year daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it is pretty much right in the middle, being at 50.33. As far as for the moving averages on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, but we are sitting on top of the 21-day EMA because it's at 77.30 and we close at 77.54. So what we want to see is a continuation of SNDLs holding up the 21-day EMA preferably. If we end up having this occur, then of course we're going to want to look forward to seeing a move getting to the 50-day here right around 82 cents. We did test 80 cents on the Friday, so we want to see this momentum continue. So we're on Fintel. We're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SNDL. So as we scroll down further, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we can see here the most recent, we don't have anything for the month of September as far as recent filings, but we could see here for August the 30th, which I'm pretty sure I covered already, but we'll go over it very quickly here. We had the FOMO ETF that went in with just over 63,000 shares, and we also have TAG that went in with just over 83,000 shares. Now, when we take a look at the short interest information, scrolling down on the page, you can see the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 6 minutes ago. And for the short borrow free rate, it is at 1.49%. Now, when we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see for the close of the first, it was at 26.50. The close for the second being at 23.83. And now the close for the Friday being at 22.81. So it is going on a downtrend there, but it still gives us that opportunity of SNDL having short squeeze potential. So with that in mind, as far as the volatility that you see inside of the stock, it should not be any surprise whatsoever, and it's part of the reasons why I always emphasize on having a strategy. But as far as for the market sentiment for SNDL, it's great to see that the short interest has been going down. Now, all they really need to do from this point going forward is seeing what they're doing as far as their operations and how they're going to be putting all that cash they have to use. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SNDL. So we could see here on the inflow, it was at 9,586. And then on the outflow, it was at 11,211. We had 0 on the large for both. On the medium, we had 6,209. And then on the small, we had 3,377. On the outflow side, on the medium, we had 7,485. And then on the small, we had 3,727. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see there's zeros down the board, so institutions haven't been loading up whatsoever. But one thing that I want to point out, when we take a look at what's going on with the small scale orders, which is mostly being identified as being retail traders and as well as investors, you can see we had 3,727, and then on the small for inflow, it was 3,377. So what we saw here was a lot of profit taking and a lot of selling for retail. And I'm not surprised about that, because that 80-cent range is an area of resistance for SNDL, and anyone who was buying up shares or loading up, especially when it was in the low 70s or below, are taking profits. And we've talked about this on the channel. But if you are a long-term investor in SNDL, you shouldn't be offended by this. This is all a part of the game, especially when it comes to a penny stock like this. Now, as far as trading off of those fluctuations, again, I'm going to say it, there's no reason why you shouldn't have been able to bank profits off of this play. I've done multiple videos showing you guys, hey, when it dipped, hey, you load up and then you ride that momentum up, and you've had that opportunity. So now let's jump into the final thoughts, and we'll go over some final details. So for my final thoughts for SNDL Sundial growers, it's definitely going to be interesting going into Tuesday and for the rest of this week. There are 2 scenarios that could happen here. It could just pull back and go back to the low 70s and possibly test the high 60s, or it could finally get past that resistance area right at 80 cents and then make that move going to 82 cents. So I know there's going to be many eyeballs on this play. Another thing is, when we went on Fintel, we could still see it continues to have short squeeze potential. But one thing to do keep in mind, as far as for the short volume ratio, it has been on a downtrend. So as far as for the overall market sentiment, it's becoming to be a lot more positive. So as far as the short squeeze potential is concerned, it's not as high as it used to be, but of course, being of where it's currently at, we might possibly be able to see more natural moves in overall price action, and I feel that is better for the stock overall in general. Now, for anyone who was inside of this play for short-term trades, of course, you were able to make some profits if you were following along with the strategy, but of course, it wasn't financial advice, but it's good to see that some of you have been making some money. But if you're into the long-term prospects of this play, continue to do your homework and continue to do your due diligence. The one thing that you're really going to have to depend on, though, which I feel is going to be the best case scenario to move this stock, is legalization of cannabis on the federal level inside of the United States. I think once we get this, then of course SNDL can experience a strong spike. As they would say, rising tides float all boats. And that's pretty much it. So unless SNDL puts out some sort of an acquisition or some sort of news to help actually push the stock further, I kind of see it just staying consistent, trading in the tight range that it has been trading in for quite some time. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because even if you can get a spike going to like 90 cents, if you were buying shares and loading up, even when it was at 70 cents, that's 20 cents a share. And if you've been loading up thousands of shares, that could definitely work out to be some good profit for you if that's what you are considering. But of course, if you are going long, you're gonna have to continue to wait here. I know someone mentioned inside of the comments saying that they see SNDL being a $5 stock. And one of the things I gotta say, again, you have to do your homework and you have to do your due diligence. But I would say the first thing that you want to look at are shares outstanding compared to the overall market cap. Once you take a look at that, you do some research, you do some more information, then you know saying SNDL should be at $5 continues to be one of those things where, you know what, doesn't look too good right now at the current moment as far as getting in that particular direction. And I do feel before they even got close to $5, there'll probably be even more offerings and so on. So that's just something to be aware of. So overall, in general, having that $5 price target is very high for a stock like SNDL, considering the current position that it's in. So hey, let's look forward to seeing how well it performs for the rest of this week. But for the most part, it was great to hear and get those messages that you guys were able to make some profits on this play. We'll be talking real soon. Hope you enjoyed this video.